Hey everybody, today I'm making some fondant for my bees. It's cold outside, and if you feed them liquid feed, they build up extra humidity in the hive, and that can lead to some problems. So what I've got here is 5 pounds of sugar, a pint of water, half a tablespoon of cider vinegar. Other thing you're going to need is a candy thermometer and a mixer and directions. So what we want to do is we want to bring this up to 235 degrees, and once it reaches that point it'll start to boil. You let it boil for 15 minutes, and that cooks most of the water out, melts the sugar real nice. You take, after 15 minutes, take it out of the heat, and I'm impatient, so I put it in a cold water bath in the sink, ice cubes and water. And when it gets down to a temperature of 175 degrees, you put the mixer to it, and you mix it until it's a smooth consistency. Once you've got it cooled down and it's smooth, then you pour it out on either wax paper or parchment paper. Mine happens to be parchment paper today. Either one works just fine. And we'll see how it comes out. The bees really like this. They appreciate it when you give them fondant. Maybe they'll even live through the winter, who knows. Okay, we're getting there. I'm using medium-high heat, and once it starts boiling to the point where you can't stir it down, which it's getting ready to be there, you need to turn the heat down just a little bit so it doesn't come out of the pot. And I think we just reached that. So I'm taking the heat down to about a medium. Oops, too much still. Let's take this thing down. It's not going to take much to keep it going. And let's see what we got here. Don't want to play with it too long. Oopsie. Come on. And you can't see it right now, but it's a clear liquid under that foam. And it still is not 235. Well, at least now you can see it's a clear liquid. Yeah, it's a little better than 235 now. So we'll keep it there and let it percolate and stir it constantly. And timer. "15 minutes. And I'm sure you're not going to want to watch this, so I'll break off and come back when we're ready to start running the mixer on it. Alright folks, we're back. We got less than a minute left to go on our stirring and boiling. I've reduced the heat again because this stuff gets thick, and it will more or less try to crawl out of the pot, in which case it'll eat your kitchen. So in another 20 seconds or so, I'll quit stirring this. Now, 15 and 20 seconds isn't going to matter. I'll take it off the heat now. Okay, and as you can see, we got a nice clear liquid. And turn this silly thing off, and turn the heat off, and go prepare my ice bath. Alright, I'm back. We've cooled this down to a little over 175, but you can only leave it in that ice bath for a few seconds, less than a minute, or it'll set up in the pot. You don't want that. You want to be able to beat some air into it, and it's a pretty good liquid. It strings a little bit coming off the spoon, not a whole lot, but I think that's about where we want it. Yep, looks pretty good. Alright, I'm going to stick the mixer in it and give it a good beating. But first I'm going to move it over to the counter so I don't dump it in the ice water. That would be a mess. All this work and all this sugar for nothing. Alright, here we go. So it's cool to the touch. You touch the outside of the pan here, and it's comfortably warm. And I suppose if I can get my thermometer loose, I'm going to stick the candy thermometer back in here and see what the temperature is. And it's still about 80 degrees, but that's cool enough. So now what we're going to do is pour in our cookie sheets and let it finish cooling. I got my handy dandy helper in here with me. And it stuff's thick. But I think I got it right. And put a little more back there. And what all that mixing does is it turns the sugar crystals into microcrystals, almost like whipped honey. And I actually might put some of this in a bowl of honey and see if it'll make creamed honey, because the crystal structure is right. And wouldn't that be wonderful to have some starter for creamed honey? I'm glad I got the big cookie sheet. Well, I just put this fondant on the hive a few minutes ago, and the girls have already found it. Temperature is about 52, 53 degrees, so I'm real happy. And they seem to be fairly happy. It's going to work well. And if you'll notice, my Boardman feeder is dry. I leave that on the hive just to, well, it's hard to remove once it gets propolized in. So that kind of seals up the hole by leaving the jar there. All right, so I think everybody's happy.